There are many times, my friend, when I think we're just losing our mind and have lost our mind. And like you, I, being the voice of reason, try to negotiate my way through the news. What I do is I get an idea of what the opposition is saying. The opposition, by the way, is everybody. And then I do everything in my power to try to figure out a way to take what they're saying, condense it, put it together, and then give it to you. And see, here's what today's problem is. We're always trying to reorient, refix our attention as to what's going on. And what is happening, more importantly, is they are changing the rules and they are changing the mission, but people are maintaining the names. Republican, Democrats, conservative, liberal. They are changing the rules, but they're maintaining the names. So it's as though you woke up one day and they're playing soul music on a country music station. They're playing James Brown on some alt country station. You're saying, wait a minute, that's not country. It's not alt country. It's not Americana. That's James Brown. That's soul. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. What are you doing? So now we're having conservatives who are spouting something. I don't even know what it is. It's some iteration of something, but it's not conservatism. And you have Democrats and supposed liberals and progressives who are also not saying anything either. So I'm going to be talking this morning a little bit about this, a little bit about on this beautiful Sunday morning, by the way, here in New York City, crisp 44 degrees. I'm going to talk to you about this notion called paleoconservatism. If you like labels, this is one that I think might apply. I'm going to bring to you this wonderful message from Carol Quigley, who also you should maintain. He's somebody who's really, he was, by the way, one of the mentors of Bill Clinton. He wrote exclusively against secret societies. He's one of us. A little bit about Ronald Reagan in the past, how Israel has completely, the issue has completely, in some cases, hijacked all reason. I don't understand what's happening right here. We're losing the First Amendment. And as I speak today, remember what I'm saying to you. As I speak, we have, and this is important, 198 days until the election. And it's going to be here, and you're going to forget it, or they're counting on it. They're counting on it. They're just forgetting about things. Remember how we cared about Kate Middleton? It's gone. Gone. Nobody cares about her anymore. She's gone. Just forgotten. Wendy Williams, gone. Where is she? I don't know. Well, she was in the, I don't know. Is she alive? I don't know. 3 days and then we're gone. This is another one of my themes. It's not amnesia. It's the short attention span. It's the ability to attend, to pay attention to. So sit back, get ready, make sure you are subscribed. I'm seeing subscription numbers go weird, act very strange. And you were telling me constantly that when you go back to check, sometimes you're unsubscribed. So please make sure you subscribe. Please make sure you hit the like button. The like button is that is our rocket ship to spreading the good word, whatever that means. And also make sure you're always notified to be aware of new videos and the like. Okay. Now, before we begin, dear friends, let me tell you something right now, which is so critical. And I'm going to say this again, and I'm going to say it until everybody understands. Right now, there is something which is so important. Years ago, they used to call people who would prepare for problems, called them crazy, called them preppers. You're crazy. You were nuts. Tinfoil hat people, because you thought that maybe it'd be a good idea to have food ready to go in the event of something. And preparewithlionel.com is where you need to go for this. And whenever I would bring this up, one guy told me one time, well, I've got I've got a fishing pole. I'm thinking about fishing. What are you talking about? Do you have anything like this? No. Do you have anything like this? No. Well, right now there's a deal, 4-week emergency supply. You could save $50 off this thing. Look at this. 60 varieties, up to 25-year shelf life. Breakfast, lunches, dinners, drinks, snacks. Put them in your garage, stack them up next to your ammo water. And by the way, if you go to preparewithlionel.com, check below, look at this generator. It's not really a generator, but just look at what they have. These people, these wonderful people in My Patriot Supplies are involved in just disaster preparation. If it's horrible, they've thought of it. So go to preparewithlionel.com and take advantage of this deal and save $50 on a 4-week emergency supply kit, and you will be so happy you did. It just makes sense. And how people mock this, I will never know. People just love to mock stuff. You see, we live in a world, my friend, as you know, of just lunacy. There was a story, by the way. You buy coverage, right? You buy it. There was this there was a supposed story that the Daily Mail cared about, where Lara Trump, by the way, 2 people in the Trump organization I don't trust as far as I can throw them: Kimberly Guilfoyle and Lara Trump. Ivanka, the women. Sorry to say this, Melania's over here. She says, you know what? She's been through a lot. I think Melania Trump basically said to Trump, look, I'm not going to get in the way of this, but I don't want to go back to that. I hated that. Our son hated that. I may not even be there with you, but you know what? I'm not going to get in the way. I got my other problems. I don't like what you do. You going out with this skank, and I was pregnant. You humiliated me. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm not going to get in the way. I'm just not going to get in the way. But just don't. I'll say something every now and then. She's over there, and I really can't blame her. Because as great as Trump is as a president, as a husband, I think he sucks. But that's what I think. What do I know? Hey, what do I know? It's not my business. If she's happy with it, I'm happy too. But this Lara Trump, I never trusted her as far as I could throw her. And Eric Trump's kind of walking around. I think he's the smartest of the crew, but he's married to this. And now she just wants, oh my God, something. So there was this Daily Mail story where all of a sudden they said the internet is on fire because somebody called up and said, are you as stupid as you look, on her podcast? First of all, nobody knows she has a podcast. Number 2, nobody cares about this. She paid for that. Don't you understand how people just will work something out? The same thing with this. Have you seen this Soros' son on a date with Huma Abedin? Huma Abedin is like this professional role-playing, crisis-acting wife, girlfriend. She's married to Anthony Weiner, who by all practical purposes is just, aside from being, the weirdest person ever. And because it was at the behest of Hillary. Because at the behest of Hillary said, look, do us a favor. This is what you're going to do. Just marry him. He was kind of an up-and-coming star. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying with this one? By the way, speaking of Hillary, don't be surprised. What is it? Suffs? Is Hillary one of the producers of this one? Yes, Suffs. Suffs. This is from the suffragettes. They're trying to push Hillary in terms of being a producer or somehow involved in this. It's a complete dog shit. It's a musical by Shana Taub, and it's and Tonys are coming up in June. So you're going to be seeing Hillary because she's, remember, always back end. Where did Barack and Michelle really get a lot of their money? From the books nobody read, from their Netflix deal. Remember that? They were going to be producers, from their Spotify, whatever the hell they were doing. That's where you do this. So Hillary, they're just keeping her around. She's lost. She's going to be walking around Chappaqua in the woods again with the box wine, just scaring people. So she's going to be with us promoting this thing called Suffs, this horrible. It's disaster. Broadway's dead. By the way, you know where Broadway is now? London. That's where it is. Not here. They killed that baby. They killed that. That thing went woke and, oh my God, before anybody went. Anyway, so that's where she is. So there's a story of Huma, and she's sitting at a Knicks game with Alex, whatever, Soros. He looks like a little boy trying to pay attention. She's like this. Can you believe this shit? Oh my God. Maybe she'll squirrel a marriage out of that one. She'll do it. Some of these people are professional wives. They'll say, well, okay, I'll do it. Do you love him? No. But it's Soros' son. Yeah, I'll do it. Oh my God. Would you cover for him? Oh yeah, absolutely. Sure. It's Hollywood is filled with this. You do know that there are these pretend, and all of a sudden, there they are paying. You want to get the New York Post here? Would you cover this? Okay, good. And then they kind of kid around about it because the New York Post they are so gone. It's not even funny. Well, here's something that is really going to make you nuts. Are you ready for this? I was going to save this one for you. This one is going to make you nuts. Listen to this story. This was this monstrosity that took place yesterday. This is Jerry Connolly from Virginia. You ready for this? I want you to listen to I hope you've gone to the bathroom. I hope you are ready for this absolute horror show. I want you to listen carefully. Okay? Listen to what he said, because people are saying, where is all the money to protect America? Where is the money for our borders? Where is the money to protect us? Us. We don't care about Ukraine. Why are we spending all this money for Israel, Ukraine? What are you doing? What is going on? Listen to this one. And I'm telling you, like I said, I hope you have not, I hope you've not eaten, but I hope you're ready for this. This is Gerald Connolly, a Democrat from Virginia. Listen to this.
Some say, well, we have to deal with our border first. The Ukrainian-Russian border is our border.
Really? Did you know that? I didn't know that. Did you know it was our border? Huh. I'll be damned.
It's the border between depraved autocracy and freedom-loving people.
Now, that's our southern border. Depraved autocracy would be the cartels, the shadow government, those individuals involved in basically destroying and obliterating our sovereignty. I think you were onto something, but Ukraine?
Seeking our democratic way of life.
And they're seeking our democratic way of life and our money and our insurance and our schools and our safety and our homes and squatting, shoplifting. Just huge. Have you heard about the Venezuelans? We have these here. Mobs of these folks. Mobs.
Do we have a stake in that outcome? Yes. Undeniably, yes.
Can you believe what you just heard? Can you believe that? Does that do something to you? Does that make you think, wow, what the hell was this about? What country am I in? Who represents me? Who represents me? Who are the people who represent me? What's going on here? Now, I put at the bottom of this wonderful piece from Carol Quigley. And it's just to remind you of something. Carol Quigley is one of the best. He writes this one particular post, and he said that this is tragedy and hope. He said, the argument that the two parties should represent opposed ideals and policies is a foolish idea. Instead, the two parties should be almost identical, so that the American people can throw the rascals out at any election without leading to any profound or extensive shifts in policy. Then it should be possible to replace it every 4 years, if necessary, by the other party, which will be none of these things, but will still pursue with new vigor approximately the same basic policies. This is one of the absolute templates, one of the absolute truths. This is the left-right paradigm. Remember, tell people when you're always spreading the words, two sides of the same coin. There's two seemingly different versions, but they're identical. Laurie Cook says, I really hate those bastards. Well, you see, Laurie, you should hate the people who put up the Connollys. And who are they doing this for? Are they doing it for their military industrial complex friends, to get on the Raytheon board, or for money? Because remember, once you're in politics, you'll get money in the back end. You'll always run. You'll have a PAC. You have a group. That's why nobody ever, ever, ever quits their race. They suspend their campaign. Do you know that Mayor de Blasio still probably has, I would imagine, this is New York Mayor de Blasio, probably has his exploratory campaign still going on, where you can send him money to pay him back money in the back end for what he did before. It's like Hillary. She's a Broadway producer. Yeah, right. Okay, fine. It's just incredible. Now there's this other group of people, which is the most important thing in the world to do, which is the most important. And it's this wonderful idea of what a paleoconservative is. And I know there are these names and people get hung up in names, but this might sort of help you. Paleoconservatism is a political ideology and movement within conservatism, or the conservatism that you remember, that emphasizes traditionalism, limited government, and a measured approach to social and political change. Measured. Paleoconservatives typically advocate for a return to what they perceive as traditional values, institutions, and practices, often viewing alleged modernity and progress with skepticism or outright opposition and disdain. They tend to prioritize the preservation of cultural, religious, and national identities, as well as a strong emphasis on sovereignty and national security. Paleoconservatives often oppose globalization, interventionist foreign policies, and social liberalism, favoring instead a more isolationist or non-interventionist approach to international affairs. The term paleo, of course, denotes a focus on older, more fundamental principles and values within conservatism, distinguishing it from other conservative strains, namely neoconservatism, which is basically rabid, kind of lapsed Trotskyite lunacy. I'm losing more of my friends. In 1982, this was at the time when Israelis were bombing West Beirut. And as the raids continued, Lebanon's Prime Minister Shafiq al-Wazan told Philip Habib, who was a special envoy, Reagan's special envoy, the talks cannot continue. Why? He says, because Israel is blasting us or killing us. So at 8 a.m. New York time, the Israeli cabinet met, and a message from Reagan expressing anger and outrage. They told him, you'd better halt this now, or else that's it. Later on, Reagan tried for an hour or so to get through to Menachem Begin, but couldn't get through. Later on that day, King Fahd of Saudi Arabia calls Reagan. A new ceasefire went into effect. And basically, later on, Begin called back later, which pissed Reagan off. Begin called back. Begin, Reagan. And Reagan was outraged. And he said, this is needless destruction and bloodshed. That was it. It was the sharpest rebuke, sharpest statement that Reagan made since the beginning of the Israeli invasion of Lebanon. He said, that's it. What did we do when the Marine base in Lebanon? Got the hell out of there. It's not that this is important, not important. It's not that Israel is not an ally or a good friend. It's like, this is not our beef. We're not going to give you the impression that we are going to go in and constantly bail you out, supply everything that you're doing. We're not going to do that. Listen to this. According to UNICEF, I know nobody cares about this, and this was, I don't know when this was, about 13,000, more than 13,000 children have died since the bombardment. I read somewhere that famine is moving in, and that children, in some cases, are so weak, they're too weak to even cry. Too weak to even cry. E.D. Crowley says, this is a simple question, Mr. Earl. How does it benefit the elites of our country if shot to hell? Well, it's a fascinating issue, and thank you for that. World history will show you, Edie, that people have been behind movements that later on we thought, how could you do this? You know, it's funny, Edie, there was a I thought this was so funny. There was I look at YouTube and there, TikTok things, and not TikTok, YouTube shorts and reels. And there was this one that was so sad. There was a woman, there was a chimp, a female chimp who thought, this is according to the story, thought her baby was dead. This kind of medical procedure, I think they anesthetized the mother, and mother thought the baby was dead. This is the story. I don't know if it's true or not, but and this is like 30 seconds a minute, you get to see this reel. They have the baby back inside the pen without, quote, telling the mother. So the mother comes back in thinking, baby's dead. I got to go back. She looks, sees this ball of fur, moves back a blanket or something. The baby moves, and this mother picks up the baby in an impassioned embrace that if it doesn't make you cry, you don't have a soul. By the same token, you can go on YouTube and see fathers and mothers, fathers burying their daughters with kids with those doll faces, that grayed look, that look of where there's no fixation, where the eyes are, and they're lifeless. And we say, oh yeah, but the baby of the chimp, or the baby of the dog, or the baby, people are so funny about their dogs, but when it's human beings, nothing. If I told somebody babies are too well, look, and this is what scares me, is the ability to say, well, look, let me explain something. Remember, rationalization and intellectualization. Rationalizing is what you do to explain a behavior. Intellectualizing is explaining something that already happened. Rationalizing. So we rob from the bank. They got plenty of money. They'll never miss it. Plus, they don't care about us. And banks fund wars, and that's rationalizing. So let's rob the bank. Intellectualizing would be, hey, too bad that Sally broke up with you. Well, you know what? Probably wouldn't have worked out in the long run. Better to find out now than invest emotionally. So that's see. And what we're doing right now is we see this, and there is incredible horror going on. Horror. Inconceivable, inane, huge, colossal horror going on right now in Gaza. Forget the West Bank, just got right there in this. I don't even know what to, and nothing. I call it the Kate Middleton effect. What happened to Kate? What happened to Kate Middleton? Is she alive? I don't know. Is she, what happened to Kim? You don't know? Okay. All right. Whatever. What happened to Wendy Williams? You had, remember these incredible, with the Graves' disease and the, what's it called, the proptosis, the exophthalmia, these incredible, those bulging eyes, and she's crazy, and guardianships. And what about her? I don't know. That's it. That's it. Well, what about Israel? I don't know. Look, Israel has the right to defend itself, which is true. Israel has the right to retaliate. October the 7th was a terrorist attack. Hamas is a terrorist organization. And next question. And that's it. That's it. It's the most incredible thing in the world. I say, that's it. That's it. Really? Really? That's all it took? That's all it took? That's interesting. You mean to tell me that's the only, yeah, that's the only thing it took. Okay. I'm fascinated by what people don't know. I will never, ever, ever, ever question again how during World War II we didn't care about. And this is reverse. Remember the ship, the St. Louis. Remember that one, the St. Louis, where FDR sent it back to. I don't know if it ever made, but if, as far as FDR knew, if you refuse to allow it entry here, you're going to send them back, certainly to their death. These are basically escapees. And he said, "Look, Then we talk about, mention to somebody, talk about the Liberty, talk about this ship, the Liberty, to some people. Oh, so what I'm saying is, I will tell people to be decompartmentalized. To be decompartmentalized. So Edie asked the question: How does this work? It is simple. If I said to you, Edie, you did a great job on the floor of the house, terrific. By the way, check out your campaign account. Ooh, look at that! Wow, you're doing great. And by the way, don't forget, that's really your money. Don't kill anybody. I mean, you can't put it in your pocket, but you can benefit from it. You can have an office and a car and travel and necessities. So that's yours. Now, you want to go back on the floor and give more? I'll give more of that. I can do that. Are you sure about that? Absolutely. I'll go on now. I'll tell you anything you want. I'll tell you anything you want to hear. Anything. You sure? Absolutely. You sure? Oh, I'll give you a new one. Let me give you this one again. Connolly figured it out.
Some say, well, we have to deal with our border first. The Ukrainian-Russian border is our border. It's the border between depraved autocracy and freedom-loving people seeking our democratic way of life. Do we have a stake in that outcome? Yes. Undeniably, yes.
Here you go. Didn't that sound good? Who could, he goes back to his home and they go, way to go, Jerry. We got to fight those Ruskies. We got to fight those Ruskies. Don't you understand that? We got to fight those Ruskies. We got to, you just don't seem to understand how this thing works. We got to fight those Ruskies. Those are the issues. Those are the people. My God. These people that are responsible, the Ruskies, we're using these terms that are just so incredible. We're using these terms that just blow my mind. We're using these, I guess, these phrases that are maybe, I'm not really sure. Is this Did you see the cover of MTG? Or look at the Marjorie Taylor Greene. By the way, God bless her. God bless her. She was at the front of the um, she was at the front of the New York Post, and they say there's a picture of her like with a Russian Cossack hat on. It's the most incredible thing in the world. It's the most incredible thing in the world. This is how serious it is, my friend. Do me a favor, stand by for a second. Stand by, dear friends, because we always want to thank those people who make us possible. And we have loved and have loved since the beginning of time, our great friend Mike Lindell, still fighting, still, let me see, does he still have this one today? I put these beautiful pieces up, and next thing you know, I turn around and he's got a new one. I say, Mike, what are you doing to me? What are you doing here? And he had, let me see, here we go. Is this the one? Yep. There we have it. Let me give you an example of this baby right here. This is the one that kills me. This is Mike Lindell has, as we speak. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Check this baby out. Look at this. Look at Mike Lindell. Look at that. Do you see this? Do you see this beautiful thing? $25 these extravaganzas. These are the most incredible thing in the world. Look, just take a look at this. Just please, just give me this. Just give me a second. How is he making money in this? How does he do it? Volume. It was that great line from Robert Klein. When Robert Klein was lucid. Here we go too. This is mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. Sheet sales. You have to go to the sign. mypillow.com/Lionel. Go there right now. mypillow.com/Lionel. I'm not telling you to buy this because, he's a great American and he stood up, for Trump and for free speech. And yeah, I mean, that's nice too. It is nice. Don't get me wrong. It's nice. But that's not why. It's the greatest stuff you can imagine. And that's why we are proudly, mypillow.com, promo code Lionel. We are a MyPillow family. Okay. Now, are you reading this line? I put this at the bottom. This is Carol Quigley. This really says it all. Because remember, I was telling you yesterday, and this is really important, really, really critical. I was trying to tell you that there is this. We're always trying to retrain and let me give you a personal note here. I'm having the hardest time dealing with a lot of folks who I size up immediately, whether they have any idea of what's happening regarding politics and the like. And they sort of maybe have this idea as to what is theoretically conservatism. I know Dick Dickerson says they are trying to force our hand towards violence. It's a very, very simple thing, Dick. It's even simpler. I don't want to go Occam's razor. By the way, thank you, by the way. I don't want to go Occam's razor. I think the term, by the way, is used too much. It's not what people think it means. The movement is now, like I told you before, the movement is in this. There is not one person I think I've ever known. Marjorie Taylor Greene is closer than most. Rand Paul is, I think, certainly close. He's far closer than she is. Matt Gaetz has lost his way. Matt Gaetz was compromised. Matt Gaetz was, if ever anybody looked like he's owned, Matt Gaetz had all these problems and then they went away. What does that tell you? I'm just saying. Lauren Boebert, a joke, because there is no version of the squad. There really isn't. There's no. But Marjorie Taylor Greene is there. Rand Paul, I think, is number two. But the greatest one, I think, is Ron Paul. Ron Paul is as close to somebody who really cares about this country. And when you go to Congress, you start off, and who are these people? First, let me tell you. This is the person who all their life was, first of all, it was the big shot on campus, right? It was the guy who ran for homecoming queen. Maybe he did today. I don't know. Homecoming king, the captain of the football team, very popular. Maybe the guy in student council. Maybe the one who figured I enjoy power, not doing anything, power. What pulls politicians in is not, they have to pretend. See, when somebody says, why do you own a restaurant? Make a lot of money. Is it to serve people? What? Oh yeah, right, right. Yeah, sure. Yeah, right, right. To serve people food and yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Is it to impress upon people to provide divergent cuisines and what? Oh yeah, right, right. That's it. That's not it. No, they're there to make money. Nothing wrong with that. Understand what the goal is. Understand to make money. And the only way I make money is if people like the restaurant and if I feed people and if I give people divergent cuisines. But the bottom line is to make money. So when you run for Congress, you're going to say, I'm going to go in there and I have already talked to people I've talked to. When you go to Washington, do me a favor. Try your best just to hang around, not the offices, but to hang around the clubs. There was a group of people I liked. It's the Capitol Hill Club. I like them. They tend to be prototypical kind of Goldwater Republicans. And by the way, I'm not a Republican, but they're the only ones who even remotely are. Do you know there was a time when I embraced, well, before Spotify, when we kind of only had radio and stuff. There was a time when I embraced country music because rock, I think right around the 90s, it was horrible. It's just nothing really was clicking, and country was, okay. So sometimes I had to go that way. That's the way I am with the Republicans. It's like they're the only ones now who even remotely, theoretically, are similar to what I think, but even they are not. By the way, there's a very interesting thing. There's a man by the name of Dom Luker, black Twitter journalist, excellent. He was on with Alex Jones, and they were giving their views on Israel. And they said, "I've got no problem with Israel. I've got nothing at all." I said, "But I don't have time for this right now. I'm worried about here. I'm worried about right here in our country. There are these new, this Andy No. What's his Miles Chong? What's his name? Wayne? Ian Miles Chong. Very good. This fellow, what's his name? Colin Riggs and others, really good. And I don't know if it's not even that they espouse an ideology, but they're pointing out things that are absolutely wrong. Now, are they conservative? I don't know. I don't know what you call these people. But God bless Elon Musk for at least allowing this thing in the first place. And they point out these things, and yet they still, unfortunately, are in the minority there. If it weren't for Elon, forget it. I want you to changing chapters now. I want you to listen to me very carefully. I know when a revolution is coming. And a revolution could be a different thing. A revolution could be more than just momentary. It can be bigger than you would think. There is a real emergence. Elon Musk did a lot to start a trend to open up internet. To open up the internet. Do you know that I have been, this is so interesting. You can't have algorithms. You can't have algorithms review propriety of internet stuff. Give me the true story that happened to me one time. I did a story that dealt with the Epstein case and how Epstein was not suicide. I had 2 segments that were approved. One from CBS, one from Fox, both of them dealing with Michael Biden. Both of them on YouTube. Both of them approved. This one was on it, monetized. This one was on it. So I took those and I was commenting on this one particular testimony from Dr. Biden. They said, I'm promoting suicide. And I said, wait a minute. How can I use somebody? I'm not. Okay, what are you going to do? It's an algorithm or something somebody didn't understand, I guess. Very rare does it happen. But that's what happens when you have an algorithm. That's like one time years ago, they said, we have to keep pornography off the internet. Do you know there was this one particular thing that was flagged. It was a woman giving self examination. By the way, I've been telling friends of mine, prostate self-examination is for men. Think about that one. People say, oh, that's a good idea. Anyway, they flagged it as being pornographic because they couldn't tell the difference couldn't tell nuance, couldn't tell. It was a woman. That was years ago. Remember on HBO, there was this thing called Workouts? There was a show on when HBO first came. This was in the 80s. It was called Yoga or Workouts or something. And they basically had these women, comely women in leotards doing these, quote, working out dances. But the camera angles had nothing to do to let you know what they were doing. They were like underneath, between their legs. It was on HBO. It was like the hottest thing anybody's ever seen. It was called Dancing. I don't know what it was. It was right around when that Jane Fonda stuff was big. They had a breast self-examination too. I don't think they meant it, but they had like music in the background. Start at 3 o'clock and make rotating motions with your index finger and your. I mean, do you know what you're doing here? So sometimes, you know, algorithms can misunderstand, not able to detect the subtle differences of nuance and perspective and the like. Well, Elon Musk came along and he said, we're going to change this. And of course, you always have to say, he's not perfect. Okay, I understand it. But Elon opened up a lot of stuff. Have you noticed how things are more acceptable? There are people on YouTube, God bless them, who are saying things that I can't believe they're saying. But you know what? Good. Maybe this is a signal. Maybe because I'm going to get back to square one. Remember my rule? If you don't like something, if it offends you, don't listen to it. But I want you to spend a little bit. Tucker Carlson is still he's very important. Very, very important. Because he's going to pull out a new group of people. First of all, because he's famous and all this stuff. But second of all, because of the fact Denise Austin. It wasn't Denise Austin. It was something called. It was this. Anyway. So he's talking to Joe Rogan. And he's talking everything from military personnel getting sick from UAP and UFO contacts to, I mean, he's into stuff that is so deep, it's not even funny. He's also talking about people who are compromised. You can see he's very loose. You know, Tucker's trying very basically to get down. He's on with Joe Rogan. Pictures of him when he was young and talking about mushrooms. You have to understand something, and this is important. And I'm trying to say this in a nice way. Tucker Carlson wants so much to be a guy. He really loves to hang around guys. And he likes to, here was a guy who was kind of like this kind of simpy, wimpy guy with a bow tie. His brother's name is Buckley, and they came from, Tucker and Buckley, and they wore the pink shorts. And Tucker still wears like the shoes without the socks. He can't get away from it. That's fine. Got that Newport look, the vineyard. Okay, all right, okay. And that's why he hung around Andrew Tate. That's why he likes what's his name? Portnoy, and kind of gruff, rough guys who get the babes. You know what I mean? That's Tucker. There's a really unresolved thing. I don't know what it is. And here's Joe Rogan. Man's man, UFC, bit tough, works out, carnivore, tattoos, rah. He could talk about anything. And Joe Rogan is authentic. Joe Rogan doesn't talk about himself all the time. He doesn't have to. Joe Rogan is what Tucker Carlson wants to be, the man's man, the alpha male. I'm telling you, I know I'm right. I've seen this my whole life. I've seen it. I can size people up immediately. That's what this is. Some people are okay with it. Some people aren't. The guys who were really cool with who they were, who might have been perhaps a bit fey in their feet, were people like Moynihan, William F. Buckley playing the harpsichord. But every now and then he goes, I'll suck you in the goddamn mouth and you'll stay plastic. For years, Gore Vidal always intimated that Buckley was gay. Always. And his gaydar is turned. So you understand kind of how these people look at what they're trying to do. When you read somebody, when you watch somebody, size them up right away. This is the alpha male characters. People watch people like, here's a real interesting show, Valuetainment. Figure that one out. That's number one critique, morning zoo madness. Patrick Ben David kind of thinks I need all these other people to carry it. It's too confusing. And each one is trying to rise at the top. A zoo, remember the morning zoo? Remember there was a guy years ago, like, who brought it when radio was all about guys like Scott Shannon and others. They put together this thing called the morning zoo. I mean, it's not completely his, but he perfected it. You'll hear it sometimes a little bit on morning shows. By the way, if you want to hear where radio is alive still, sports and urban. Sports and urban. Some of the best radio there is. But urban, oh, and Spanish, like Hot 97, and they're not Spanish, but that's where it is. So anyway, that David he has the zoo thing. And the idea, the joke was, if you put enough people in the room, somebody's bound to say something funny. Okay, but just watch it. Watch it. Watch how Joe Rogan has not changed anything. Once he figured out, barely changed the set. I think the pinnacle, the ape, the number one guy on every check mark on my evaluation is Lex Friedman. Hasn't, absolutely says, I'm doing it my way. Here's this guy who talks like this. And I'm basically a nerd, and I'm from MIT, and I'm from Russia, and I want you to ask the question. In a Boseian particle wave theory, do you believe that diametrically fundamentalism, as opposed by Schopenhauer, does not 8 million people watching? Love the guy. Hasn't changed. Maybe a back. Have you seen these stupid sets people have where they go to like Pier 1? They have that. And they have like the forced tchotchkes in the back. Oh, look, here's a globe. Where'd you get? Who did this set? What is this crap? There's one I like. Who is it? Is it? I don't know what it is. They have like, don't do a set. It looks like Good Morning, Des Moines. Remember PM Magazine? You have the set. Do you ever have these stagers? Anyway. That was a very long introduction for this, and I apologize. What I'm telling you is that this is making its way. The people who are more important than anybody I know, the people who are making the biggest waves, maybe not in Washington by any stretch of the imagination, but that is one particular metric. But I cannot say enough when it comes to the Middle East, when it comes to Israel, Max Blumenthal, if he doesn't get the Pulitzer, I don't know who does. I don't know who does. I don't know what the Pulitzer is. If he doesn't get it, he won't because he can't. There's no way. You want to encourage that. He is scaled down. Aaron Mate, his partner, superb. Absolutely will hit you with stuff you can't believe. Breaking points, the spring. The two women, Brianna and Crystal, absolutely, Saga pretty good. The poor guy, Robbie, who was with a reason. tits on a boar hog, worthless, waste of time, just doesn't have it, no, nothing. You are seeing the revolution. It's like I'm in CBGBs and I'm looking up and I'm seeing talking heads for the first time. And I'm thinking, this is it. This is it. It's when Rolling Stone magazine discovered Bruce Springsteen from Max's Kansas City and said, this is rock and roll. This is it. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. And what they have to do, I'm telling you, and I hope they're listening somehow. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. Let me be the producer. And here's what I do. I lock the door and nobody comes in. The first time somebody tries to sponsor you, control you, own you, the first time somebody wants to buy you, this is catch and kill. I can say with a reasonable degree of certainty, I don't think Joe Rogan has lost his oomph since he's been to Spotify. I really don't. I mean, you can argue, but I don't think so at all. But these other people, catch and kill. Hey, Max. Hey, Aaron. How about putting a Gray Zone on Spotify? Yeah, forget it. Don't lay off that way. Don't. Oh, no. You can't do that. You can't do that. And by the way, if you don't like what they have to say, turn it off. And by the way, there's some, I keep saying, by the way, there are some wonderful, very, very forceful, pro-Likud, Netanyahu, strong, but anti-him, whatever you want, put it on. I want everything. This, as Columbia University is telling people they can't say something. When in 2013 or 15, Mattress Girl never was stopped whatsoever. That was the longest explanation. The future is the platform that you're watching. Well, not me. Well, but this is the future. This not the future. This is now. This is now. There are people who are still, they don't know. Who is this guy's name? Onura, the Japanese fellow who didn't know the war was over. There are people I know who get a physical paper of the New York Post. They go back to Reagan, Rush Limbaugh, Bob Grant. They go back to conservative radio. They go back to, whatever. It was just maybe Pat Buchanan. Pat Buchanan, by the way, paleo-conservative, and they're still there, and they still see the moon. They still see the star that's shining. They still see it, not recognizing the fact that that is burned out generations and millions of years ago, and that the light that they see is just on its way. We are in the middle of a revolution. We're in the middle of a revolution. We're in the middle of something. And what is critical? The only thing that makes us dangerous, that keeps us from being dangerous, we have no mobilization in terms of voting. We are great talk. We're wonderful in terms of really rephrasing, but we have no political clout and no effect whatsoever in Washington. None. We have no lobbying behind this, nothing. We're great, but that's okay. There was a time when William F. Buckley, when he started, National Review, conservatism was not, necessarily, well, I mean, it was, but it didn't have the defining, but it caught up. And people like Tucker Carlson, if he figures out who he is, he's trying desperately. If he gets too big, they're going to try to whack him completely. But there are so many people, and there needs to be this persistent message, the message to go after people and ask them right away, very simply this. If you had $1 to spend on the American border or in Ukraine, where would you spend that $1? If you had $1 between the American southern border and Israel, where would you spend that $1? Where? What is the role? What is the primary goal of the American political unit? What would you think of a doctor at an emergency room who, as this terrible car crash, as the victims were brought in, he kept going over on the phone and calling another hospital and seeing how their patients were doing. What would you think about that? Would you say, well, don't you understand? These are human beings. Yeah, but they're human beings here. Don't you understand? Don't you understand? Don't you understand how this works? It's exactly the way it is. You've got to know, where are our priorities? And look at the corruption of our media that sit back and applaud this. And applaud this. A Democratic Party. Let me one more time. Let me just to completely make you sick to your stomach, okay? Just remember. Notice there's nobody behind him when he's saying this, but this is his message, not to his constituency, not to the people of Virginia. This is Connolly's message to the military-industrial complex brass, the war profiteers, the big money folks, the big donors, people within his party to let him know, within his caucus, let him know who's in charge. Listen very, very carefully to the words of this man who swore to uphold the Constitution.
Some say, well, we have to deal with our border first. The Ukrainian-Russian border is our border. It's the border between depraved autocracy and freedom-loving people seeking our democratic way of life. Do we have a stake in that outcome? Yes.
Now, let me also tell you something, which I don't think anybody's going to be talking about, but I'm going to tell you. TikTok is Chinese owned and they spy on us. Facebook is, quote, American owned and they spy on us. Twitter is, I guess, but don't spy on us per se, but I think is more transparent than anybody else. Who wants TikTok gone? Mark Zuckerberg. TikTok is about speech. TikTok is about speech and the freedom of speech, the freedom of ideas, the freedom of, and you're always going to find somebody who can say, this person, this cloud, this platform violates our sanctity and sovereignty and must be stopped. Remember that. And who's putting American people up to that? Zuckerberg. That's his domain. Who started American social media platforms? Who did it? QIntel. Or, yeah. No, that's not the name of it. Not QIntel. DARPA with InQtel. It was close. InQtel. DARPA and InQtel. These are the folks. These were this incredible. This was these entrepreneurial initiatives. This is in 2021. And they tell you this. DARPA tells you this. They tell you to your face how this works. I missed this one. Oh, Raul says, I would the dollar in the South Bronx. I would the dollar in the South Bronx. Okay. I think I know what you mean. Thank you for that. Edie Crowley says, why did Morning Joe change? You know what? I think that one was an example. Remember, Joe Scarborough was Mr. Conservative. He had a show called Scarborough Country on MSDNC. That didn't work. He and Meager, Zika. By the way, how are they doing? I'm hearing weird stuff, but what do I know? They put together this full court press to go to Trump when they thought he was going to win this day because they thought Trump's going to own a media company, and they went basically kissing his ass. And when he told them to pound sand, they turned and just whatever it is. As crazy as that is, Edie, in DC, they love that show for whatever it worth because they tell people what you want to hear. They tell people what you want to hear. That's all. So just remember, today, Spend a little time. Just do some Carol Quigley quotes. Tragedy and Hope. Read his wonderful, wonderful words. I'm going to put some little words out for you. Little quotes from people that kind of let it sink in. I heard one thing which is very interesting. One of the scariest things I've heard. Joe Rogan did this one. He took a Hitler speech. Did you see this? And put it in English. See, you never knew what he was saying. You always heard about his anti-Semitic and terrible speeches endorsing things like what am I trying to say? Endorsing genocide. But if you listen to what he said, I was here for you. I pay for you. And now you can stand behind me and stand behind Germany. And if you took what he said and just changed the words, it would be one of the most important, critically pivotal American political speeches ever. Ever. Fascinating. Perspective, dear friends. Perspective. Thank you so very much. Let me also remind you, dear, wonderful, great friends, please follow Lynn's Warriors on YouTube, Lynn's Warriors, and also Lynn's Warriors on X or Twitter to find out the latest, the most important, the most critical news regarding protecting kids and stopping the cessation of child predation and the like. And don't forget this. Subscribe to Lionel Illegal on YouTube at Lionel Illegal. All right, dear friends, have a great and a glorious day. See you tonight at 7. Oh, and by the way, one more time, please do not let me forget. Let me thank again. Raul Rodriguez says, my bad. I'd spend my dollar in the South Bronx. Thank you, sir. Raul, thank you so very much. By the way, South Bronx, the Bronx it's going to be the next development. That Brooklyn stuff, I was so Brooklyn out. Watch for the Bronx. Very, very interesting. Arthur Avenue, my friends. That's the little Italy people really speak of. Dick Dickerson, thank you. Raul, thank you. Edie Crowley and Lori Cuck, thank you all so much, dear friends. Have a wonderful Sunday. Please pray for our country. Whatever you want to do, because we need it. All right, dear friends, see you tonight at 7. Don't forget these words. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Dead.